As some of you know, mostly this side of the room, I'm a Colorado transplant. I moved here for love in summer 2013. But for 6 years, I kept my job in San Francisco working on a capital project. And since I was flying out there regularly, I just kept my doctor out there. So when just by chance, I found a lump in one breast in January of 2016, I went to his office at UC San Francisco. I had a mammogram at age 41, my first, and an ultrasound on a February Friday morning with a scheduled flight home to Colorado that afternoon. I will never forget the moment the doctor who performed the ultrasound sat me up on the table and said, "We think it's cancer." I'll always remember the date. I'll always remember what I was wearing. I was perfectly healthy, sub-elite competitive runner. I ate wholesomely, and I never got sick. And when I say I never got sick, I really never got sick. I left that job in August of 2018 after 12 years, and I had 14 weeks of sick leave saved up, and unfortunately they don't pay you out for that one. The diagnosis was a devastating shock, and I flew home that Friday afternoon with my face turned towards the window so the passenger next to me wouldn't see my tears. But I did immediately have my first experience with the breast cancer sisterhood. I got on the phone in the airport with one of my dear friends who was dealing with a recurrence of her own breast cancer. And now we share a special, indescribable bond that can only be replicated when you meet another survivor like you do at a Hope Retreat. I found a terrific care team in Colorado at UC Health and started chemotherapy about a month after the diagnosis. I was determined to maintain my running lifestyle as much as possible, so I ran the Boston Marathon during chemotherapy on my 42nd birthday. I remained full-time at work, continuing to, fly out to San Francisco twice a month, except for during a period of 4 weeks of radiation that September. I attended our agency's monthly board meetings wearing a wide variety of colored scarves and turbans, even a pink wig a few times. And my final surgery, and thus my physical treatment, was complete in December 2016. I don't remember how I found out about Sisters Hope. I was searching the web for something cancer-related in the fall of 2016, and at some point there was a link to this organization that put on retreats for breast cancer survivors in the search results. So I clicked on the link, read the information, immediately applied to attend, and was accepted for the April 2017 retreat. A phrase every cancer survivor will be familiar with, and maybe, or likely, even has said, is "now what?" as your treatment recedes in the background. For months, you've just been doing what the doctors tell you, ticking off the frequent appointments like clockwork and not really thinking about what comes next. Surviving each day is the only goal, and it can be pretty exhausting. So there's very little thought given to the extended future, at least there wasn't for me. Then your physical treatment is finished, but the mental and emotional treatment may not have even begun. What now, you ask yourself? Some people tell you to pretend it never happened. They say, "Oh, you look great," and move on to the next topic. But you can't pretend it never happened. Your body is different. I never did make it back to the fitness level that I was at pre-cancer, which was very distressful to me and something I had to deal with, especially when I had one of the worst races of my running career, completing the Pikes Peak Ascent in summer of 2017. Your mind is also different. You are forgetful. Some of you may have heard of chemo brain and surgery brain, and they are very real, I can assure you. My husband is my memory now, and sometimes that doesn't work out so well. You may be processing stress differently, having trouble sleeping, or dealing with anxiety, depression, fear, anger, maybe even survivor guilt, or all of these things at once. Attending the Hope Retreat was just what I needed to figure out what now. So how does the retreat help? This is the point where I want to tell you about Kathy Schulze and her path to establishing Hope Retreats. Kathy was living a fairy tale life until March 1999 when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. For the next 5 months of treatment, she tried to focus on the positive aspects of cancer. And there are some. You may meet new friends that you'll keep in touch with in the lobby of the treatment room or the waiting room. You may have a deepening of your faith, whatever you believe in. And certainly it can help put life in perspective. That work deadline just may not be that important, or not as important as your boss thinks it is when you have chemotherapy the next day and you already don't feel good. But just as I described the now what now feeling, Kathy too felt a void at the end of treatment, and she wanted to figure out how to move forward with life in a positive way. So she created a curriculum that could be utilized in the space of a weekend and would help survivors face the cancer experience together, sharing their individual journeys with a sisterhood that would understand things in a way that even the closest of family and friends never could. Over 4 sessions of exercises, some privately written and some shared aloud in groups, 8 retreaters navigate their way to a realization of what's most important in their life and how to ensure those things get the focus and prioritization they deserve. This was Kathy's vision of HOPE, which stands for Healing Opportunities Through Personal Enrichment. With her sisters Cindy and Mary helping to brainstorm and plan, the first HOPE retreat was held in November 2002 in the Colorado Mountains. That first retreat was a success, and despite Kathy being diagnosed with a recurrence in fall of 2002, a second retreat occurred in September 2003. In April 2004, Kathy passed away, but a third retreat was still held shortly thereafter. And through the immense efforts of Kathy's family and friends, the retreats have continued for 15 years and even expanded to Michigan, Ohio, Missouri. The retreats are held at lovely bed and breakfasts with a private room and bath for each attendee. And the curriculum is supplemented with cancer-related educational talks and several activities for relaxing and pampering: yoga, beautiful hikes, massages, art therapy. Meals and cleanup are all taken care of by the volunteers leading the retreat, and the attendees don't have to lift a finger. For me, it was one of the most positive, helpful, and wonderful experiences of my cancer journey, and I think every survivor should have a chance to attend a HOPE retreat. And I want to stress that I think every survivor should have a chance to attend. And that's why I picked this charity to benefit from the ball when I was asked. The nominal fee that retreat participants pay covers less than 10% of putting on the retreats. Sisters Hope is a small grassroots organization that is completely dependent on support from people like you to keep putting on these fantastic retreats. As you likely have surmised from my fire truck headscarf, my cancer experience has begun again. A few weeks before starting a new job as a consultant in last August, I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. Again, truly unexpected and shocking, and I'm sure I'll remember that doctor appointment forever as well. Again, I do know what I was wearing. The metastatic cancer is treatable, but for now it's not curable. I was stable for several months, traveling every week like a good consultant and generally feeling okay. But this summer I was hospitalized 3 times, and 3 times the medical teams convinced my family that the time was now and I was dying, and 3 times I said, no, I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about. Now I'm standing here before you, which would have been physically very difficult 2 months ago, and my husband and I are in the middle of a breast cancer charity bike ride in Southern California, so we have some travel logistics this weekend. But we rode 31 miles yesterday up the coast, and tomorrow we'll head back down and ride about 20 miles to the finish on our tandem bike. The life revelations I experienced at the HOPE retreat 2.5 years ago helped prepare me for this unfortunate recurrence and to focus on what is truly important in my life. And what is truly important is my strength and willpower, my husband, and our bucket list. Because no one knows what will happen or when. I may never be able to run again myself. So as I told all my running teammates to think whenever they were having a bad running day, treasure it anyway. So I challenge and invite all of you to treasure the important things in your life every day. In closing, I wanted to reiterate how essential donations and events like this are for Sisters Hope's mission. This nonprofit has no paid staff, no office, and no regular stream of income to fund retreats. Kathy's family and volunteers, who are generally former retreaters, work extremely hard throughout the year on fundraising so that the retreats can continue.